What is going on, everybody? I hope you're having an amazing day. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope you're staying hydrated. Sparkling, sparkling water. Really, really good stuff. I wanted to take some time to let you all know that we have 2 more days, 3 more days, 2 more days, 2 more days for the contest that we are running at Tux Care. If you have been living under a rock, we are running the Tux Scare contest. First prize is a portable monitor from Asus. Let us know on the socials your worst developer nightmare. What did you do? Did you forget to write a test? Did you check something into main? Did you drop a database? Let us know. Let me know across socials or on Tux Care's Twitter or LinkedIn. You can follow us here, Tux Care on Twitter. And then you can also follow me. Make sure you're following me, Salt and Burnham on Twitter. You can also follow me on Blue Sky at chrisdemars.dev.net. And let us know your developer horror story. Make sure you get into the contest. We want everybody to join as much as they can. Get that story in and make sure that you use the hashtag TuxScare. I'll repeat that. Hashtag TuxScare so we can go through, find, and read all of the amazing stories, and then we will choose 3 winners October 31st, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That being said, I want to bring on a buddy of mine. He and I have known each other close to going on 10 years now. A few more years, it'll be a decade. I want to bring him on stage. Todd, the Lobster Libby. What's going on, Todd?
Not much. How are you?
Are you going to put your hat on?
I can. I mean,
I mean, it is. I mean, we're almost to Halloween now, so you might as well.
might as well.
I love it. I love it. So tell everybody what you're all about, Todd. Tell them who you are, what you do, all the good things. We got a lot to talk about today. Well, maybe. We'll see.
yeah, I am my name's Todd Libby, if you haven't figured out by now. I mean, you can see it right down there, I guess, right there.
Okay.
Uh I have been a developer, designer, all sorts of hats. Way back in the day when there was the title webmaster. So,
Yep, I know
um
that title.
yep. Uh, right now, I'm kind of semi-retired, but doing some work for the W3C as a invited expert for WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Working on WCAG 3, it's coming out far down the road, 2029, 2030. Um, but we do have our document in research experimentation, development, all that good stuff. Other than that, let's see. I live in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Love going to conferences and speaking at conferences about different things, accessibility related, developer related, and yeah, I stumbled backwards into founding a company and building an app. So yeah, all sorts of good stuff.
Awesome.
Busy for a guy who's semi-retired.
Yeah, I don't think you're semi-retired.
I don't
I
think
think you've
so
come out
either.
of retirement.
I probably should.
I mean, you're working on this app. You're speaking at conferences. You're still doing the thing. You're still doing the W3 thing. Sounds to me like you're not retired.
Probably not. It's probably just
Maybe
wishful thinking on my part.
it's a pipe dream, right?
It is. It is.
Well, if you want to follow Todd on socials, you can follow Todd on Blue Sky. It's toddle.dev. Are you much on Blue Sky anymore? I pop in every now and then, but I mean, I post here and there and just to see what's going on. But
Yeah.
besides that,
Um, I kind of keep it to, or I try to keep it to, positive posting, but sometimes I find myself, as I'm sure everybody else has found themselves, kind of, we do all the doom scrolling and, oh, this is not good today, so turn around and exit the way I came in. But here and there, excuse me, some posts here and there, but for the most part, my social usage has dropped dramatically
Yeah.
since the the Twitter became the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you on that one. I feel you on that one. It's engagement is not the same. I mean, there's probably more engagement nowadays on LinkedIn, but I would say like the engagement rate has fallen down on like just across social in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way things are going, and I won't get into that. That's a whole different story on a whole different other podcast. But I've noticed uh engagement has dropped dramatically from the places that I used to go. So it's too bad.
Yeah. But you know what? That's okay because we're not going to talk about that today. We are going to talk about everything and anything
Everything and
that
anything.
that's what you want to talk about. So let's talk. There's a couple things I do want to cover. First things first. You and I were just at Magnolia Conf in Jackson, Mississippi. That is the second or third time you and I have spoken at that event. It is ran by Kayla and Richard Sween and a handful of other amazing people. Alex Calypso, everybody running, the AV side of that and volunteers. That is such a great event. It's small, but and we talked about this on verbose mode. It's intimate, and you can have conversations with people that you might not have conversations with at bigger events. What was since we're kind of done with Magnolia until next year, and we've kind of been able to kind of decompress a little bit, even though there's a handful of other events that are happening right now. What was your favorite part of Magnolia?
My favorite part of Magnolia, and my favorite part of any conference really, is listening to a talk and having no idea what it's about or very little idea of what it's about and learning something. I mean, that's why I was hitting conferences so heavy between what 2020 and 2024 was, I get the chance to speak, but also at the same time I get the chance to learn from others. Um so yeah, it's I guess it's to answer your question, um besides the food, it's the talks and learning something.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like it's one of those things where it kind of sparks the curiosity and the interest and kind of gives you a little bit more motivation when you leave an event to want to look into what these other speakers are talking about, right? Because you're sitting there and you're learning and you kind of sit back and like, oh wow, and you're like, oh, I sweet, now I have this idea to do this or I have this idea to do that. I like how it sparks the interest in the motivation to want to keep building.
Yeah, I could take any conference for instance, but let's use Magnolia as the example here. And I could be sitting there and, you know, as most of us do, we do work at conferences when we are at conferences, whether we're speaking or not. Um, and, you know, I could find something that maybe I'm working on that somebody has spoken about and they have a little way to do something. Okay. And I can go, oh, I can try that because I'm working pretty much on the same thing. And, try it, learn it, implement it, and you know, I think that's part of the and that's happened to me a few times with a few different projects. And I think it's great. I think it's and speaking to the speaker afterwards or, you- taking a, yeah, the workshop. There we go.
Hmm.
Workshops. So piece of learning for me is super important when I go to a conference. And I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
No, no, it did. It did. Um, I think another one of the favorite things about that event, I mean, verbose mode was fun,
yeah,
but I think, and I alluded to this before, is just the community aspect of it, right? Because you can learn, when you're in a breakout session, or even if it's single track like Magnolia is, you can learn all day,
hmm
right? But the community isn't made up in the learning aspect of it when you're watching the talk. The community building is made up, in the what we call the hallway track, right? But there was not really a hallway track, so there was more tables and chairs than anything. So I was calling it the table track. And the breakfast and the lunches and the dinners, like you'd see people sitting together, like I was saying, that more or less you would might not see them at a 100 plus 1,000 plus conference, right? They might not even ever even run into each other unless they planned on it. So having that closeness and being able to build those relationships, I think, is super key. Like I built relationships with people at that event who and this is no fault to anybody, where I would have just been like, oh, hey, hi, bye, type of situation, because you're constantly going and you're running and you're trying to make rounds, right? So like that was good for me, and that's good just for community in general, because you get the opportunity to actually build on those relationships that you more or less would never, or you might not have had the opportunity to do prior.
yeah, and getting to talk to people you wouldn't normally talk to is building community, and
Yes.
as well as I do that it's part of what we do and part of what we've done for as long as we've done it now.
Yep.
Um, Back when I started, it was just sitting behind a screen building community,
Right.
up until a certain point where, and for me, it was very later on in my career, um, attending conferences and virtual meetups. I started with virtual meetups first. Um, 2019, for example, was that 2019 happened, and we were doing virtual events a lot, and that's how I started doing stuff, was getting out there, doing these virtual events, talking to people afterwards, and then finally when I did, when people started going back to conferences, that's when I started going back, and my first talk was at Connect Tech in, geez, I want to say 2021, but I don't know. I can't remember. But
I think it was 2021,
I
because
think it was,
I think you were attending and someone dropped out. And
yes,
I
that was,
told Pratik, I said, hey, Todd's got some talks in his back pocket, and he has yet to do one. And I think that's when he was like, that's when he hit you. He approached you, was like, hey, do you want to fill
yeah,
in and do this talk?
yeah. Yeah, and that was great. The timing couldn't have been better, really, because, I was just sitting there, nothing to do,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of the talks at the time, and this is gonna sound ironic, but, I was like, I don't know about that stuff, so, I'm not too sure. So there was some hesitation for me, but when I got in there, I gave me a talk to 9 people, you know,
Yeah.
and Kayla and Richard were there, and I saw 2 familiar faces. I'm like, "Okay, I can do this." And
Yeah.
did the talk, and it was well received, and I had questions afterwards, and that started the ball rolling, really.
Yeah. So let's stay on that ball. Let's move forward with that. So your first talk, it was an accessibility talk, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about accessibility. You just did a talk at Magnolia on deceptive patterns, right?
Yep, yep.
Can you dive into that more on how, for one, how the talk went, for two, what does that mean, deceptive patterns, and for three, what do people need to look out for if they have an impairment, or if they're building on the web to avoid deceptive patterns?
So let me go back actually to my slides and I can give you um the definition. We in the functional needs subgroup, was it 2 or maybe 3 years ago, um we needed to come up with a definition for an anti-pattern, which is bad design, bad UX that has no intent behind it, rather than a deceptive pattern which has intent, which is here we go. I'll go back to anti-pattern real quick. An unintentional, without intent, design or implementation that often leads to a general decline in usability. So bad UX, bad design. And then we have a deceptive pattern, a deliberate anti-pattern designed to confuse or deceive a user. And here's a couple of keywords that I pointed out. These patterns are used to aim or force a user down a particular path or to trap attention in a way that redirects or focuses on a goal. It's kind of wordy, but that the user either doesn't want or need or be harmful to them. So that's what we defined as, deceptive pattern. How to spot them? I think educating yourself first and foremost if you're not well schooled or you don't know, what a deceptive pattern is. And usually, so the term was originally coined a dark pattern in 2010 by Dr. Harry Brignall, and it went on for about, over a decade, where that was the term in UX. Within the past 5 years, I've always been I don't think it describes what's going on, so and myself and others, I didn't coin this term, so it's not me who came up with this, but, deceptive pattern fits the mold better because it's a company, an organization that is trying to deceive you so they, can either get money out of you or your time. Um or usually both. And um, it's they're very prevalent these days, and you can spot them. Um, you know, a quick example would be,
I
you
was going to
know,
say, do you have an example we can throw up on screen?
I don't. Well, I do have an example. It's in my slides though. I know I have them up on the web. Do you want the?
If you want to share your screen, we can share your screen.
Um, let's try this. Let's do that. Let me get to the slide first before. That's 26. All right, let's see if I can do this. We will share screen. That there. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. So comparison prevention is a very prominent one. So obviously we have the issues that this causes is cognitive and emotional burden. You know, um, oh gee, I'm limited to these few choices, not knowing that there's a call to action that could possibly get them a more affordable choice. And I'll give you an example momentarily. Is visual and navigation barriers, is challenges for specific disability groups, cognitive um, impairments, and issues specifically. And there's a broader societal impact because, somebody that can't afford a $85 a month plan trying to find an affordable phone plan,
Yeah.
they can't afford it. So there's the
Right.
impact right there. So the best example I have of this is from T-Mobile, and this is quite a while ago, a few years back. They have the top three um, phone plans at the time. All the what you can get with them, but down below you see that lowest price plan. It doesn't even look like I mean, it looks like a button to the technically
Right.
savvy, but somebody who's not savvy is not going to, or there's more, they're likely not to click on it or, hover over that and see if it's a call to action. So, and when you
Right.
do finally come around to guessing, oh, this is a call to action, I better click it, you're going to get this modal which says, oh, here is the lowest paid plan that we have available. So they're basically hiding it and making you work
Is
for it.
is that on like is there a let's see, plan, let's see, is it on like the plans website? Oh, yep. Okay, I see it. So I'm on T-Mobile's website right now and I'm looking at it.
When I last visited their website, they don't have this pattern anymore.
No, they don't. I'm looking at it right now and I don't see that at all.
Yep.
They automatically though put it on 3 lines. So like if you're not paying attention,
Yes. Yeah, and that's what they're hoping for.
right.
That financial gain. Um,
Yep. So here, I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to plans. Presenter invite. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. Can everybody see this? Can you see this?
can I see it? No.
Yeah. Oh, that's because I got to put it on the stage. There we go.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, so just an example, and T-Mobile's great service too, by the way. I know a lot of friends that have it, but I can see where you would say the like you have the one line, and then here's the plans down here. See more plans. So at least it sort of looks like a button, but that's like the cheapest one right there, $50 a month. So
Did you have to click on that uh see more plans to get that?
yeah,
Okay, well that's still I don't want to say that's an anti-pattern or it's a deceptive pattern, but it is. See, this is one of those cases where it could be both, right?
right.
Bad UX, bad design on top of, oh, we're hiding it. So we're a little deceptive with, hopefully they don't find that lowest paid plan so that we can get more money out of them kind of deal.
Gotcha.
It's most of these, if anything, most of these deceptive patterns are for financial benefit for the company or the organization that is doing them.
Gotcha. Well, at least we know that there's deceptive patterns that are out there. There's it's across the board. There's UX patterns, and they might not be. They're not. I don't want to say that they're harmful, but there is a reason why people do the things that they do. Right? They're not trying to harm the experience. Um, it's just they're trying to go in from the top opposed to going in from the bottom.
Yeah, and I think you don't get me wrong, there are harmful patterns out there. Uh
Hmm.
especially for neurodiverse people or, people that aren't cis white, males and um they do exist. But for the most part, the ones that I showed, they have a psychological impact, and that's a big part of, you know, why all these deceptive patterns, have been prominent in the past, 10, 20 years is because um, any way to get uh, somebody to hand over money is okay with a company, of course. I mean, if it wasn't, that they either have ethics or there's something fundamentally wrong with that company at some point. Um, the the patterns can be can be harmful, you know, as far as personal identification, uh, or it what we're working on, and that is, let me pull it up here. You know, data management, access to information, acknowledgement of information, sensitive information, and people have sensitive information on the internet. If that is compromised in any way, naturally that's going to affect somebody, and that's going to be harmful in, the sense of they could lose their life savings, you know, like the examples I pointed out at Magnolia with the pre-selected checkboxes when the president ran his campaign in 2020, and people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, which amounted to millions of dollars in his pocket. So, um, I would say for the most part they're harmful, but you got to dig a little to see, oh, okay, well, this causes a psychological impact, or this is harmful because it's a financial impact. It's not just an impact on, a disabled user.
Yeah. No, I that makes total sense. It's not just the impact of someone that has an impairment. Um, it's very much can go deeper than that with neurodivergence, which is also an impairment, but the psychological piece of that can also be affected. So that
Mhm.
makes sense 100%. So how did you get into accessibility? When we're talking about web accessibility too, by the way, everybody. Web accessibility, digital accessibility. How did you get into that field?
I have disabled family members, and during the early days of the internet, watching them, struggle, and even to this day, watching them struggle with something that should be so fundamentally simple to do, say filling out a form or logging into a website or even reading a document, and seeing the looks on their faces, like, I can't do this, this is a barrier, this is, not in so many words, but this is a barrier, I can't fill out this form because this form is so long and it's in, 5 parts, and it's exhausting. Uh, you know, Even clicking around and trying to find, something that looks like a button that isn't a button, for example, one of the best examples that I've seen. Those looks of frustration, of anger, of, them ready to give up, that propelled me into accessibility. So, and I think we all know somebody with a disability, whether it's, obvious or not. We could know, a couple of blind people who are acquaintances, or we could know somebody, for instance, uh, friend of mine that gets migraine headaches. Migraine headaches, they're classified as a disability. So that along with where I was at in when I started professionally in 1999 with the first the first site I ever made that was so inaccessible that I kind of, you look back on your first website and you kind of cringe a little bit, but that was how we did it at during the time. So, but improving the and leveling the playing field for the disabled community, namely the people that I have a voice for, which are my family members, friends, perhaps acquaintances that otherwise don't have a voice.
No, I love it. I love that your why is family because, like, that's my why. My why is family, and I mean, my why is my future self. My why is the community. But when you get into the accessibility world, and I kind of moved out of the accessibility world for a little while, indefinitely at least. You really need to sit back, reflect, and figure out what your why is, and that's kind of the thing I always cover in my talks. Is after this talk, you know, I hope that you, my audience, uh, goes back and reflects on what your why is, because at the end of the day, we're mainly concerned about 2 week Jira sprints and Fibonacci story pointing stuff and getting a paycheck and making sure that with the state of things that we keep a job. But at the end of the day, we don't think that the software that we're building and shipping could save someone's life, and the software that we're building and shipping could help a child read. Like, we don't think about those things at the end of the day, and that I think is something that we really need to start thinking about. Um, with that being said, Todd and I actually met at a conference in Vermont. It was Burlington UX, or UX Burlington, and I was doing an accessibility talk there, and Todd was there, and that's how Todd and I became official friends, opposed to Twitter friends at the time, before Twitter was when Twitter was still Twitter. But just a fun fact for anybody that's out there, and then that's when I think it kind of sparked Todd's interest to kind of start giving conference talks, because 2 years later you were up on stage at Connect Tech.
Yeah, I had attended an event apart in Boston that same year. Matter of fact, um, an event apart ended. I had a day to go up to Burlington, and then UX Burlington was that was one day, wasn't it? Yeah, it was one.
I
It was,
think it was a 1 day event, multi-track, but I think it might have been 1 day.
I think it might have been. Um, but regardless, at the time that was in my neck of the woods, so I was like, yeah, we'll go up, and um, met a bunch of people. Met you, and that did your accessibility talk. You mentioned family in your talk then, and then that kind of pushed me a little further into, yeah, I definitely have to start speaking and getting into it a lot more um, than I had been. I hadn't really put myself out there at all, and I just wanted um, to do something to give back, to the web dev community and the accessibility community, and that's how it started.
Well, here you are. You're
Yeah,
making things happen.
here I
Big
am,
dog,
semi-retired.
semi-retired.
Semi
Punchline. Punchline.
punchline. A
That
long
was a
joke,
great joke.
but
Oh
punchline.
man. So we have a few minutes left. Let's talk about this app, this founding founder title that you
Yeah.
have. Can you talk about the app a little bit? Can you talk about who's helping you? Are you disclosed? Can we have a little sneak peek about this before we end the stream?
Yeah, it is a so my lovely better half, that I call her my partner, Paula, she has been very stressed at work. Um, she has a lot of different um, roads, avenues she goes down to get her job done.
Mhm.
And one day or one evening, she was sitting at her desk and she's getting frustrated because she had to hop from this thing to this thing to this thing back to this thing, and it was just she was all over the place. And it was like,
Sounds like Devrel.
it does. um, and I was like, just write a list of stuff and let me look at it and see if I can make it happen for you. And she got me the list. I looked at it and I was like, this, I don't know why there isn't something out there that does this already, but let's do it. So basically, without giving too much away, it is a route management system. She sends her drivers out to keep maintenance on properties in the Phoenix area, right? Uh, they do the parking lot sweeping. They do, I believe they do like not really trash pickup, but they um, there's something to do with keeping the property clean of trash as well. So I was like, why not? And I had been dabbling in Nuxt for a little while. I was like, you know what? Let's just do this. I'm gonna do it in Nuxt. I brought a couple people on, a couple people you and I both know. Um, Mike Hardington for one, Homer Gaines is the other. Um, they are helping me. Obviously, Homer with the accessibility side of things and the UX side of things, Mike with the programming chops and back end chops. So we've got a Nuxt um, Postgres database kind of thing going on, vanilla CSS, uh, which for me is the only way to go. And slowly building that out. And I kind of stumbled into, I guess, a founder role. So, I'm not calling myself a CEO because I don't have the um, qualifications of a CEO. So that's why I'm just calling myself a founder. Um, and yeah, that's, making an accessible app as well. So, I know if a couple of things she uses isn't fully accessible for her, and we're gonna make it so that it is. And we'll see where this goes. She likes it. She tests it out. We maybe approach some other places and say, "Here is our software, and are you interested in it?" So we'll go from there.
Awesome. No, it sounds like a really, really cool app and tool, and I'm sure that she'll get all the use out of it that she needs.
Yeah,
I know that with context switching, stuff can be frustrating, and having a one way to do it would be really easy on her and her efforts at work. So,
yeah.
well, Todd, with that, we can wrap this up. Appreciate the time. Make sure that you hop on and you give us your dev horror story. LinkedIn, Blue Sky, whatever. You can even just email us if you want to. Well, you would need our email. You could email me at work, and we can put it in there. But make sure that you use hashtag Tux Scare because I want to know what your dev horror story is. And I mean, you have an opportunity to win. See, like I was saying, first place is a portable monitor. I think second place is a mic for your computer setups, and I think third place is a selfie monitor for your phone. So like you put it on the back of your camera or your back of your cell phone and you can use that. So let us know what your story is, okay? You, Todd. I'm letting you, Todd.
Me? You want my
Yeah.
story?
At some point. You don't have to do it on screen, but let us know before October 31st so you can be entered into the contest.
I could tell you real quick, I deleted an entire database of 16,000 users, but it was only the test database I found out after about 3 days.
Well, you need to put that on Blue Sky, tag me, and then tag hashtag TuxCare. Or do it, you know what, do it on LinkedIn. Do it on LinkedIn. That'll be easier because then we all have LinkedIn. So
We do.
do it before the deadline.
Yeah.
And everybody
Get it
watching,
in
do it
there.
before the deadline.
Do it
Get it
before
in there. The contest is running a couple more days. Hashtag Tux Scare. Let us know your dev nightmare. Todd, thank you again for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. I feel like we
Chris,
just
as
saw each other the
always.
other day.
Yeah. Yeah. Too much of me. No,
Too much.
thank you for having me on. It was fun. I always enjoy doing these things and talking shop for a little bit. And
Always.
yeah, hope to chat and see you soon again.
Thank you. With that being said, make sure you give Twitter a follow. TuxCare a follow on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Sultan Burnham. Make sure you're following Todd on Blue Sky at toddle.dev. Check us out at tuxcare.com. We're doing some amazing things with patching of Linux systems, rebootless patching, end of life support for end of life solutions, endless lifecycle support for end of life solutions. With that being said, we are out. We should be streaming next week. I got a pretty cool guest on next week. So check us then. Peace.